Before you start lesson 49, make sure you complete test J in the test masters. Lesson 49 is about adding mixed measures. Being able to easily work with units and values that contain units is a very important skill, especially in science and engineering. The better you are at this, the easier any science and engineering courses where you're using mathematics will be for you. Now, at the very last page or two of your book, there's some equivalence tables there for units and for time. If you don't have a lot of these relationships memorized, you might want to flip back there every once in a while to refresh your memory. Look at practice problem A. What I want you to do there is change 80 inches to feet and inches. So on this problem, you're not really adding mixed measures, but you're going to change a single unit to mixed units or mixed measurements. So what you have to do here is just think about how many feet are in an inch or how many inches are in a feet or in a foot. Hopefully you've got this memorized and you know that there are 12 inches in 1 foot. So if you're dealing with 80 inches, just think about 12 times 6, that would be 72 inches. 12 times 7 would be 84 inches. That's more than you have, so you need to stop at 6. There are 6 feet in 72 inches, and so if we want to change this to feet in inches, we'd end up with 6 feet, which is 72 inches, and then we have 80 minus 72 is 8 inches left over. 6 feet, 8 inches. That would be our answer. Now let's go the other way. We have a problem dealing with feet in inches. Change that to inches. 5 feet, 4 inches. Change that to inches. Well, that means we need to change 5 feet into inches. And we know that there's 12 inches in a foot, so that means 5 times 12 is 60. There's 60 inches in 5 feet if there's 12 inches in 1 foot. Plus the other 4 inches would give us 64 inches. That's what 5 foot 4 inches is equal to in inches. Don't forget your units on these problems. They're equal to half of your answer. Let's do another one. Simplify this. 2 pounds, 18 ounces. Well, you have to remember how many ounces are in a pound. Otherwise, you'd say, well, that's simplified. What am I supposed to do with that? There's 16 ounces in a pound, right? So we could take 16 of those 18 ounces and move it over to the pounds side. It's kind of like working with mixed numbers where you have a fraction and a whole number part. So 16 ounces is equal to 1 pound. That means we'd have 3 pounds and 2 ounces left over. That would be the simplified form of that. 3 pounds, 2 ounces. Let's do one more problem. Let's do an addition problem here. Dealing with time. Let's add 6 hours, 35 minutes, 51 seconds to 7 hours, 42 minutes, and 11 seconds. Now, in a problem like this, let's just add each individual unit component first, and then if we need to do some conversions, then we'll do that second. So 6 hours and 7 hours added together would be 13 hours. And then 42 minutes and 35 minutes, that would be equal to 77 minutes. And then we have 51 seconds and 11 seconds would be 62 seconds. Now let's work from the smallest unit of measurement for time, the seconds. Work on from that right side over to the left and do conversions as we need to. 62 seconds, we know that there's 60 seconds in 1 minute, so we're 2 seconds past a minute. Let's give that minute over to the minutes column and we'd end up with 78 minutes. Now we know that there's 60 minutes in an hour, so we're 18 minutes over 1 hour. And so let's just write an 18-minute here and give an hour over to the hours column, and we end up with 14 hours, 18 minutes, and 2 seconds. Doing problems like this, you have to be pretty familiar with your equivalent measures. How many ounces are in a pound? How many inches are in a foot? How many minutes are in a second? And so on. If you know those things really well, then doing these problems is really not that difficult. And you know when you come across something like 62 seconds that can be simplified. Whenever you write problems dealing with units like this, you don't write units that aren't in a simplified form, like 62 seconds. You know that that's not simplified because there's 60 seconds in a minute, so you need to break that up into 1 minute, 2 seconds. So any problems like this that you see in the book where they ask you to simplify a problem dealing with units, what they mean is just to get it in a more appropriate form. And that means you're not expressing more than 12 inches for your inches unit, or more than 60 seconds for your seconds unit, more than 3 feet for your feet units. If you had more than 3 feet, you'd go over to yards. Okay, well that's all for lesson 49.